How many of you had Robinhood? How many of you have been riding the wave of AMC or GameStop? How many of you got stopped from riding the wave? How many of you didn't even know what was happening? How many of you know nothing about what I'm talking about right now? Well, strap on your seatbelts, because I think, young ladies and gentlemen of all ages, we just saw the blueprint for the future. History was made this week, yesterday to be exact, and I'm here for it. The dismantling of our capitalist system and the wizard. We got to see underneath the curtain. We got to see, and I'm going to mix metaphors right now, that the emperor has no clothing. We got to see the game that was played in the stock market. All of you who thought it was a Ponzi scheme, it's not that. No, it's a very intricate game with very specific rules that favor the house, much like going to Vegas. Except when everyone's on to the game and they start to play it. They never expected people to get together, galvanize, and play the game. And there, my family is where they made the miscalculation. These are the new days that we're in right now. And to me, if Georgia wasn't any indication from a political standpoint of what people can do when they come together, sending a Black man or reverend, once it still is the pastor of a church once pastored by Martin Luther King Jr. himself, and a young Jewish man mentored by John Lewis, John Ossoff, two Democrats from the state of Georgia, got sent to Washington because people figured out their power. And it's happening on Wall Street. Lord have mercy. We are here today. I'm so happy we're gathered here today to say goodbye to what we once knew of our capitalist system. Fare thee well, fare thee well. I'm not sad to see it go. Listen, I've been talking on these airwaves since the very beginning about the importance of people getting into the stock market, and I heard a lot of grumbling. That ain't for us. And I was like, but that's where the money's made. That's where the money reside. That's where the money reside. Y'all, no, I don't want to do it. So what did I do? I'm like, all right. We've had on Angela E. Matthews. She came on first to dip your toe in the water to talk about a trading community, how we get around one another and talk about stocks. And we have Tiffany Aliche talking about different kind of investing. But, you know, we bring on people in the market. Eli, Common Sense, talk about Bitcoin. We've been talking about Bitcoin since 2014, 2015. And now it's all coming together. Today, we're going to have Teri Ijeoma break it all down, what happened at GameStop. With GameStop, those of you who aren't familiar. So let me just tell you that the stock market is not our economy. I've been saying that from the very beginning, but what it is a game with rules. It is a game played by banks, primarily by banks. The banks are playing the game with our dollars and our emotions. And we ride those waves, those of us who are in the stock market, those who are not. You're not even in this conversation right now. And, you know, to your detriment, really, because the majority of the wealth that has been made in the last 10 years in this country has been made in the stock market, primarily with tech stocks, right? Like Tesla. So what happened with GameStop? So those of you who play video games, which I do. So I've been to GameStop several times, especially during my period when I was into Tomb Raider. I was a big Tomb Raider person. I would get my Tomb Raider games, get my cheat book, you know, because there's a booklet that tells you all the different ways that you can get extra men and then bypass a whole bunch of things, but you got to, you know, read the book and play at the same time. Your eyeballs will burn out if you try to beat the game without the book. So I would get the book, the cheap book, and I would play the game. And I had gotten up to, I think, what was it? 4 iterations of Tomb Raider. I just got back in when I wanted to play Fortnite, and I got nauseous, and I haven't looked at my video game machine since. And I bought one of the new PlayStations, but I have not revved it back up since I got a headache and nauseous playing Fortnite. That said, GameStop was a space that I would go to. It's usually in the mall. It's usually next to, you know, Auntie Annie's pretzel place. You know, it's right there in the mall area near Auntie Annie, you know. And you go in, and during this pandemic, it has been struggling. Why? Because no one's going to the mall. No one's going to the mall. And you can now get your games online. Like, you don't have to go into GameStop to get your cartridges anymore. And you can order them on Amazon. Like, you don't have to physically go in. All of the things that I got at GameStop, I can get on Amazon. So the business is failing. But for some reason, the price went from $4 this last summer, $4, jumped up to $20 at the end of 2020, to $40 2 weeks ago. And today it was worth close to $300. Actually, between Monday and Tuesday, $300. Now, if you put one share, say you bought 100 shares at $4, that's $400. Somebody do the math. 400, 4 shares. I put $100, $400. I have $400 worth. All right, I have 100 shares of it. It went up to $20. So now I went from having $400 to $2,000 by the end of the summer 2020. And then it went up to $40. So now I have $4,000. I only put in $400 last summer. Now that $400 is worth $4,000. And then it went up to $300. Carry the one. Now I have $12,000 worth of this. What? Yes, that's what happened. And that's how the stock market works. But it really doesn't, because those of you who are Robinhood, which I've also been very vocal about on these airwaves, I talked about Robinhood and how, I'm not really feeling it, because if you're serious about investing, why would you put your money in an app that sometimes crashes? Sometimes you can't make a trade. You can't get out of a trade. It's not like real time. Well, something real nasty happened because what had happened was the reason why the price was doing what it was doing is because a bunch of people got together on Reddit in something called the r/Wall Street Bets subreddit group. And going by deep effing value, and they spelled out the F word, they analyzed GameStop and they were like, I think the banks, in particular, the hedge funds, one hedge fund in particular, they're shorting. They're doing something to this stock because it makes no sense that this stock should be doing anything. This business is failing. So why is the stock moving? Somebody's shorting it. So these folk got together on Reddit and they said, we're going to drive this price up. Because what happens is, it's called the short squeeze. What happens is, as they drive the price up, because the folk in the hedge fund space, they're counting on the stock to go up and then come back down, and they're betting the ride down. So they needed to go down. And these folk in Reddit, in this Reddit chat room, drove it up, 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 to the point that the hedge fund people like, hold up, how am I going to get out of this? Oh, wait a minute, it's going too high. They went and got loans against other businesses to come in to try to keep up with it. And then somehow magically the whole thing shut down and you couldn't even make a trade, which now has everyone calling this a scam, the whole stock market. But let me welcome in. She is the most brilliant person I know in this space. She's been teaching it for the better part of a decade. She is a multi-millionaire trading in the stock market and in Bitcoin. I love her. All right, let me welcome Trade and Travel founder, the one and only Teri Ijeoma. Teri Ijeoma, welcome.
Hello, thank you, Karen. It's great to be here.
Great to have you. I got up this morning watching this. Well, actually, last night it was trending. And I was like, "Oh, they doing something." Now, I never invested in GameStop, and I don't have any Robinhood accounts or at all. I'm not on those baby platforms, because I love my money. I'm putting it someplace where I can make a trade in the moment. I'm not trying to wait for y'all.
With a robust platform, okay?
Yeah. I'm not with the baby people. But so tell us, did I explain what happened? We're going to get into the shorting and everything. But, from your standpoint, I call this a game changer. I think that the skirt has been taken off of the stock market in a way that I never expected. I'm giddy because for the first time, I think regular people had the power to do something and they did it. And the banks don't know what to do now because if this continues, because once you get a little bit of a victory, you realize there's a blueprint for doing it again and again and again. And your whole platform, Trade and Travel, from the people that I know that have taken it, from the time that I've taken it, and again, I'm not a day trader, swing trader, but I understand your methodology. You follow what the banks are doing and you chart it so that there's no guesswork. You're going by what the banks are doing, which is why your success ratio is so high. Talk to us about what you ascertained happened yesterday.
You're so right. So you actually, you did explain it really well. There's two big things that people have to understand in order to figure out what happened with GameStop and AMC recently. One is what makes the stock move, and that's buyers and sellers. It's just like an auction. When you have a lot of buyers, they can bid the price up. When you have a lot of sellers, they can bid the price down. So we had a ton of buyers come into the market in both GME, that's the GameStop and AMC. Then the other piece of it is what is short selling. And I know you said we'll get into that later, but it's the idea of selling something high and then buying it back low. So what people don't understand is the idea of buy low, sell high is true. However, in investing, you can do it in either order. You can buy low first and then sell high, which is traditionally what people hear, or you can sell high first and buy back low. And you both get the same amount of money. You just get the difference between those sales. So what happened here is the banks were assuming, okay, the stocks are not good stocks. GameStop is not doing well. AMC, nobody's going to the movies. So we're going to sell it while it's a little higher and we'll buy it back when it comes down lower. What happened is you had all these retail investors from Reddit. They figured out that there was this short interest. People were selling high and buying it back low. So what happened is, well, we say buyers moved the stock up. So buyers came in, started moving the stock up. And now you had all those people that were hoping to sell high and buy low. Now they've got to buy back as well to get their money back. So it just...
Some of their money because they lost. So they were just trying to stop the bleeding at that point, to the tune of, I think it was like $2 billion they put back in to try to preserve some of their money. And that's when it got interesting.
It's true. But you know what? This is not the first time that this has happened. So I think back to last year when Tilray ran up to $200. That was a similar type of thing. There was a lot of short interest, and that means that people were selling it high and then thinking to buy it back low. But then you had a ton of buyers come in and they pushed it up to $200. Unfortunately, after that, it fell back down to $20 a share. That's where Tilray is now. It's also happened in Tesla before. So the thing I'm worried about is people are going to get in late thinking that there's, having FOMO, fear of missing out, and they don't realize that after the run is gone, it's going to drop back down to where it's really supposed to be valued. And that's what I'm worried about for investors.